You're trying to browse something, and when you just go to google.com and search for something, it is asking you to install a mobile app. For example, let's take the example of Myntra.com, which happens to be a very famous e-commerce website. If you remember, there was a phase when Myntra.com sold only on the mobile apps, and there was no way you could browse the collection that they had on the web. Do you remember how you felt? It was frustrating, right? I just want to see the collection. I don't want to install the app. Or maybe I'm stuck at such a place where I don't have the network right now. So I just need to look at what the goddamn app has to show me, right? So in those cases, it becomes very difficult, and companies and businesses realized that it is time that they stop doing that, because not every user has the same attention span, and users' attention span has been constantly on the decline. So how do you deal with this problem? It's quite evident that dealing with a mobile website or on a mobile browser is cumbersome sometimes. It's a tiny screen. You just have to navigate through everything. You can't keep scrolling endlessly. You can't keep clicking on the right option from the menu. So you needed something better, right? But you don't want to install the app. So you need something that looks like a website, but it acts straightforward like an app. So the combination of these is what resulted in something called as a progressive web app. We see major giants of the world, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's MakeMyTrip.com, whether it's Amazon, all of them use this technology called progressive web apps, where it looks like a website, but it actually acts as an app. So this is the session where we start looking deep into what a progressive web app is. It looks like a website, which means you don't have to install the app. And on the other hand, it has a very, very, very smooth flow of design that native mobile apps have. It is straightforward. You don't have to navigate through multiple pages. So basically, it's a combination of something that looks like a website but acts like an app. These are called as progressive web apps, or PWAs. It lets you take advantage of the situation that you don't have to install an app or purchase an app or visit the app store. You could just access it like a web page. It combines the functionalities of a native app, and it also has the design of a website. Many even question that if PWAs will replace native apps in future. We need to understand why we need progressive web apps. What is so good about these progressive web apps that we need them? So I have listed down a few features for us to understand why we need PWAs at all. Build an app. You don't have to build an app if you have a PWA. You don't have to invest money, time, and resources to go ahead and build an app. The content is downloaded progressively, which means it is cached and works offline. But the content is progressively downloaded, which gives the user a better experience. The goal is to reduce the gap between a traditional website and a native app. And PWAs provide the absolutely needed blend of both of these in one. Now, here are the few characteristics that PWA need to have. And I've picked these up from the Microsoft website. One, it needs to be discoverable. The app is discoverable from the web search results and supporting app stores. It should be installable. Pin and launch the app from the home screen, start menu and taskbar, etc. It should be re-engageable. It should be independent of the network, and it should be able to work in low network conditions. For example, if you look at sites like Twitter Lite or Facebook Lite, these are able to work very, very efficient under low internet or network connections. It should be progressive, which means the user experience of the app scales up or down with the device capabilities. It should be safe. It should be responsive. It should be linkable. Now, how do you discover this? You need to understand that native app pages, if you have any mobile apps, you can't really list them on the Google search engine like an SEO listing. Now, if you're looking at book a cab, at the most you will see a link which says install the Uber app. But if you scroll down the listings, it will not show any of the listings related to the app, because basically they are hosted on the Play Store. However, if you start looking at PWAs, which are just like web pages, you have the ability to rank them, perform certain SEO activities, and make sure these are listed like any other website, which increases your chances of getting discovered through the organic traffic coming in. Now, how do these work? So if you look at the screen, how do progressive web apps work? Progressive web apps work in a very, very, very simple fashion. You have an app that uses something called as service workers, which facilitates fast loading, caching, and background sync, where you will see the offline version of the web page. And only when you have to complete a transaction, there is an interaction with the web server that's needed. So if you look at your screens, you have an app. So this is an app. And the app interacts with the service worker, and the service worker interacts with the network, and also takes into account the cached resources where users can access the website offline, but only when certain transactions are needed to be fulfilled can interact with the network. So basically, all in all, PWAs facilitate fast loading, cache, background sync, etc. And progressive web apps can also be loaded on desktop browsers as well as mobile browsers. Alright, so let's also look at what are the key differences between progressive web apps and native apps. So if you look at progressive web apps, only one app for all devices, which result in shorter time to market. Separate apps for different operating systems. For example, you need to create only one app is needed for all devices, which means that you can hit the market in a very short span of time. But if you're building an app, you need to take care of all the different operating systems people use: iOS, Android, Microsoft, etc. Lower development and maintenance costs for PWAs and more expensive to develop are the native apps. And there's no need to submit your app for App Store for progressive web apps, because it's just like another web page. Now, the process of launching the app in App Store totally depends on publishers, so you don't know when and if the app will be published. There are a lot of regulations, terms and conditions that you need to follow. The installation process is fully done by the browser in case of PWAs, which can increase the number of installations. Now, under PWAs, you have updates that are made automatically. There is no need to push these updates through app stores. You need to have systematic app pushes for any modifications, any improvements that you make in case of native apps. Users can easily find PWA pages in Google with a little bit of SEO. Now, no SEO benefits whatsoever for mobile apps for the native mobile apps. Home screen save options, PWA, can be added to the home screen directly to the browser. You can do that with Amazon, Airbnb, Tinder, sites like that. Now on the App Store, if you have a native app, it needs to be found and downloaded from the App Store. There is no way people can save it on the home screen like people can have the PWAs done. So these are some of the things that you can keep in mind when considering when to go for a PWA and when you need to look at native apps. And thank you so much. And if there's anything else that you would want me to make a video in specific about, please go ahead and put it down in the comments and I'll make that for you. Thank you so much. My name is Casey. Ciao.